Hi everyone and welcome back to World Literature class. So for today's lesson, we're going to be dealing with one of your outputs in world literature, which is about character analysis. So as we try to look into this lesson, we're going to come up really with looking into the types of characters. Second one is how we're going to write a great character analysis, and therefore you're going to be dealing also with the process of creating your analysis in terms of character. So let's define first what is a character analysis. So character analysis is basically more of analyzing the character itself. This therefore try to look into the evaluation of the personality traits of the character or a particular character, and it helps you analyze how this character really revolves into that short story or a book. Looking into how they try to look into the journey and actions and portrayal into the or a certain story. So, what is the importance of character analysis? This therefore helps you understand why do you think or the purpose or the reason of that character trying to look into their actions, and therefore you look also into how they were motivated in terms of their decision making into the storyline. And we really wanted to look into also if we try to look into the character analysis in terms of the intentions of the character, um, and the purpose of them, why they are rooting into that kind of action, and therefore you would understand uh, what is the connection of one character to another, and what is the relationship of the character to their actions, and how are you going to be like looking into justifications, why do they try to behave like that. So again, that's character analysis. So as we try to move on to our discussion, we're gonna be dealing with the types of characters and move on to the process of looking into crafting character analysis and some tips in terms of writing character analysis. So, what are the types of characters? So, these are the following, and we have learned this one already way back into our discussion previously. So, the first one is the major, the protagonist, the antagonist, the minor, the dynamic, and the static. So, what do you mean by major characters? So, major characters are basically more of, or the protagonists are somewhat, sometimes, the major characters, and most of the time the major characters, the protagonists are the major characters. So but if you're going to be looking into really the description of protagonist, the protagonist is really into the important character of the story. Usually we call them as beta because they are the considered main point of view of or the focus of the story. And however, we do have also what we call the multiple protagonists, and therefore they have their own experiences and they have their own distinctive what is character portrayal into the narration of the movie. So the next one is the antagonist, which is of course the opposite of the protagonist. So antagonist is what we call contrabida because this is the enemy of the protagonist. So the protagonist's biggest challenger in the story, and they are the ones who try to create the problems and try to create some conflicts into the life of the protagonist. So sometimes it isn't even an individual person or people, or it can either be like something like fate or destiny. So it doesn't mean that when we talk about antagonists, you're just looking into people. It can be a situation, or it can be an action, or whatsoever. So depending on the journey of the story. So again, antagonist could be an action, could be an event, could be also into, so meaning not only focusing into the outside forces or the external forces like people. It can be in nature or whatsoever, depending on the conflict that is being presented into the story. So the next one that we are having, like the ones that I have told you, major character can also be classified as the protagonist of of the story. But here, major characters are can be one, two, or three because they are the ones who are being revolving into the story. So a major character is often the protagonist or the main role in the story. They may conflict with other characters such as an antagonist and to find their own goal and end up sparking of conflicts between all involved characters. So again, they are the really the core of the story. Next one is the minor character. So what do you mean by minor character? Minor character basically are the supporting characters of the major characters. So they are having the minor roles in the story, and they are not so important, but still they have really portrayal into the life or journey of the characters from the major characters. So they are the supporting people, and therefore they have supporting events that would lead into the really the core of the story. So because their actions really drive the stories forward and make them so interesting to read. So the next one is about the dynamic character. So dynamic character is basically more of people who learn a lesson or change as a person. The most famous dynamic character is Harry Potter because he changes dramatically throughout the seven books. So there is a change of the character itself. So the next one is the static character. So what do you mean by static character? Static character is the opposite of the dynamic character because a static character will stay just as they are throughout the entire story. So this is not to say that their lack of change can be analyzed, but there might be something you want to explore about them instead. So static character, consistent. Consistent. There is a consistency of the character itself uh, of the people looking into the story. So next one is the stereotype character. So stereotype character, this one is often or authors often fill space by adding this type of character because everyone knows who those typical jocks, boring housewives, geeks. No point in explaining them any further. So what do you mean by stereotype? Stereotyping character are basically more of monopolizing the characteristic of the character. So if our character is more of like what's this mga servants, and of course, so you expect that they have a really a kind of characteristics that are really being portrayed by that kind of character. So that's stereotype. Stereotyping is more of monopolizing the characteristic of it. So let's now move on, everyone. So again, those are the different types of characters. So later on, we'll be moving on to how are you going to come up with a character analysis.